All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Success Podcast. I have with me a very special guest here today. He's my friend from school, Devinda De Silva. He's an aspiring lawyer, and one of the reasons I got him here today is because, Devinda, you've always been someone, I think from the time we were in school, that I have always looked up to, right? And I'm very excited and honored to have you on board today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going?
It's going good. Could be better, with the injury and all, but I don't think that's related to the conversation today at all.
Well, that's okay. I mean, since you started off, you might as well give some context as to what happened.
So I like to stay active, but that comes with a lot of repercussions, a lot of injuries. Even when I went to the doctor, he looked at my knee and he asked me, he touched so many different points and he was like, what about this? No, that's normal. He's like, no, that's not normal. We'll treat that later. But yeah, working off a small injury. But
from the time I remember your batch in school, your whole clique of friends has been getting into some sort of injury or the other.
that shows that we
really committed to sport.
Exactly. Even that interval 20-minute session, you have people slide tackling and full body hit.
That was a fun time.
Miss those times.
Yeah. So we'll start off at the beginning. I want to touch a bit about what you did in school and all as well. But see, a lot of the people that are watching this channel are people that are struggling to speak English and want to learn, or people that can speak English well but are struggling to speak in front of an audience without fear. Do you come from an English-speaking background? What language are you most comfortable with?
So I come from a bit of a mixed background. Generally, at home, believe it or not, I actually speak in Sinhala quite a bit. But I think in English, and I think that's a very important distinction that a lot of people need to realize. Everyone thinks in a certain language, and us being a multicultural, multilingual country, you take one friend group, people think in different languages. So for me, I think in English, and whenever I speak in Sinhala, that thought takes some time to translate and communicate. But because I speak Sinhala at home from a very young age, that translation process has been a little smoother than some others who tend to think in English.
So you started school from grade 1 in English medium?
Yeah.
How easy or hard was it to navigate your school life? Okay, so before I go there, although you spoke in Sinhala at home, where did you get your base in English knowledge from?
So I'm an only child. So at home, actually I didn't speak much. It was just I used to converse with my mother. Amma would talk to me in English sometimes. I would still reply in Sinhala. I actually didn't realize this until I saw my uncle, my mother's brother, speak to his mother.
Okay.
They also, like, Mama speaks in English to all of us, but speaks to Grandma in Sinhala. Then only I thought, how do I speak to Amma? And I realized this. But no, my English speaking came from school, because I'd spend most of my time in school from when I was small. And so there I talk with my friends, and because we were in English medium from grade 1, I got used to communicating in English.
Were you always outgoing? Were you always an extroverted person?
Actually, no. When I was small, I was very, I wouldn't say antisocial, because I think that word is used in the wrong context a lot. I was a bit of an introvert growing up. I can't really think when the switch happened. I went to school. I went to school in Australia for a bit in grade 4. Yeah, my family decided to migrate, but then spent about half a year there and realized it's not for us and came back. I think after I came back, there was a bit of a personality shift for me. But no, when I was small, at the grade 1, 2, 3 period, I was a bit of a quieter kid.
How easy or hard was it to move up in your school life? Now, as you got older, you started getting into different extracurriculars. What type of things were you involved in, and how easy or hard it was to navigate these because of the language skills you had?
So in school, I'd play all the sports with y'all, but I wasn't an athletically gifted kid as much as my friends.
Because I got to know you, I think in grade 9, when I was in grade 9.
Yeah.
And you were in grade 10.
No, smaller than that, no.
No, when we got to know it was from theatre, right?
Yeah, so 2012 I did Romeo and Juliet. You weren't there for that, no?
I came in 2013.
13.
So you were in grade 10.
I was in 9 then, no?
No, you were in 10.
I was in
9.
Okay.
But then when I first came,
Yes.
you were a bit...
Yeah, so lost the weight. But hopefully I don't put it back on with these injuries. That's what I'm worried about. But no, I wasn't very athletic, but I wanted to be involved in a lot of things. I have this thing, nikang inna bad. I'm same as you, no? That's why we're here on a Sunday morning doing a podcast.
Exactly. Because you have nothing. We need to be doing something. Can't just stay at home.
Can't just wait. So, Hari, sports there. What can we do? There are plenty of extracurricular activities. I think first thing I joined was theatre. That's because my cousin, so my mother's brother has 2 kids. I'll probably reference them a lot here. So very close to them because I'm an only child. So Melia, older cousin sister, she was into theatre and interact. So Malla and I both sort of followed her lead, and both of us got into interact and theatre. And in interact, I was one of the youngest members at the time in our school, and Malla, who's 2 years younger than me, was the youngest in Joe's. So when you go for like district projects and all, both of us are like 2 of the smallest guys there. So theatre and interact I got in. I liked that vibe, and through that only I think I really made that shift from introvert to extrovert, because especially in interact, to grow in the, what do you call it, community, you start learning the value of networking at a very young age when you join something like interact, as opposed to a lot of the other extracurricular activities you have in school. And you get a lot of soft skills that are directly transferable into the corporate world from interact and theatre. So that way I was very fortunate to pick those 2 as things that I want to pursue. And obviously interact is a international community under the Rotary district and all of that. So a lot of it happens in English. Well, actually all of it happens in English. There are special cultural programs that will focus on Sinhala, but I think the fact that you have programs like that show what a small component Sinhala is in the movement. That you have to like earmark things as, okay, we are going to do this in Sinhala. So naturally, being confident in English, being fluent in English helped me grow up that ladder. Theatre also, well, you have to be able to speak English to do theatre, but then when it comes to Shakespeare English,
it's a whole different ball game altogether.
But no, so that's why I started off. I also did MUN. I think that's also something that requires a lot of English speaking. There's a word I'm looking for, proficiency. Yes, and also a bit of networking there. But MUN, I was a little more in the dark because our school didn't have a strong MUN system at the time. I think Tarusha and I got it going, and then Shaveen, Webster, and then they continued it. And then this boy who, I can't remember his name.
Abdul.
Yes. They also took it on.
I remember like when I can't remember exactly when, but we had like an MUN workshop that was conducted to kind of create awareness about it and so on. But I don't know a lot of our guys who really got into it. But I actually had an interview last week with someone who was at that time a big deal in MUN, and she had organized this SLMUN conference and stuff like that. So that was quite interesting. And I thought that MUN was a good opportunity for people to improve their communication skills, debating skills. I mean, what was your experience like there?
So the reason I decided to do MUN was, again, a lot of people don't believe when I say this, but when I was in school, St. Peter's didn't have debating.
Yes, correct.
And like when I tell my seniors at work, who are, both my seniors are Josephians, when I tell them this, they are very surprised because they were very big on debating. Back then, Peter's used to be a real juggernaut in debating.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there, but
so I think your batch revived it again.
Not my batch, your batch. I was the only one from my batch. I remember during
we organized inter-house debating and all of that.
During my A-levels, you called me and you were like, Devinda, can you come and debate in the middle of papers? Because we're in the same house. Yeah. And then I returned the favor. Yeah. When I was out of school, I called you and you were doing your inter-house drama. Can you come and act?
Yes, I remember that. That was fun.
Luckily, both of us.
That was a crazy year because my A-level year, I took part in inter-house. I
And
couldn't
Shakes
help
also.
you. Yeah, and I took part in Shakes
Yes,
also.
yes.
So Shakes was 2 weeks after my last A-level paper.
Ah.
So I studied my
Okay, but I
script.
also did Shakes my A-level year.
You had a bit of a gap. You had about 4
I was the only
weeks.
one. So Devin and Demi both did London's. Devin didn't act. Demi acted, but he didn't have exams. I had a bit of a gap because I think it got postponed or something. Initially, we had practices during my papers also. But I did arts, bro. That's easy, no?
Arts.
You did commerce.
I did commerce.
Yeah.
Commerce also easy, bro.
Podda පාඩම් කරන්න ඕනේ.
Nah, but it's all general knowledge only, so except for accounts. I really,
Yeah, but accounts doesn't have to balance.
yeah, you get marks for that. Yeah, I remember. So I did the accounts paper and I came back home, and now I was really bad at accounts. Okay, so my parents got this sir to come to my house. Fantastic sir. Okay. Now he taught me all of these sums and how to balance it and all that. He was someone who wanted to balance the sum.
Okay.
So he
But
used
you
to
get
tell
like
me,
1 or 2 marks for balancing at the end.
yeah,
No?
it's not a big deal. No, but his theory was if it balances, obviously our whole answer is correct. He was this much a dedicated guy where he used to tell me you have to sit on your chair and you have to make these sums in your head for it to get. I was like, sir, I have a life, sir. Indian Masha, all 6 of my sums didn't balance. Okay. And then I came back home, I called. I was
But
like,
he never
"Sir."
sees the paper, no?
No, I told him so. I was like, sir, may. I just want to tell you early part. Said nothing balance, sir. He's like, Puta, me. There's a railway station near your house, no? I said, yes, sir. Go and keep your head there. Okay, sir. But, yeah. But I ended up getting a B, so not bad.
Again, not my fault for calling you for theatre. Huh?
Not at all. I enjoyed it.
But yeah, so we didn't have debating. So, and you know how teachers like by the time you're doing your O-levels, teachers have already decided what your career path is going to be. So they start putting things into your head. So they had told me, Putawa law karanna one. You should do debating. So you should do debating. Where debating to do? So it's my problem to go and find. So the thing with MUN is you don't need to go through a school. If you're a debater and your school doesn't have debating, it's a little difficult to get plugged in. I first went for Komun. It's organized. I don't want to give false information, but I'm fairly certain it's organized by overseas in collaboration with a few other international schools. I could be wrong. That happens at the beginning of the year. And that's more of an international school community that goes there. So I went there as a private delegate. And I knew absolutely nothing about MUN. But this was the level of extrovert I was at that age. Okay, I went alone, knew nothing, went for the first session. I went for the first session and I realized, okay, they have given everyone a brief on what needs to be done, which I also probably got. I have not accessed. I know nothing. I said, okay, first. So you get like 3 practice sessions before the main conference. Went for the first one, okay, I learned. The second one I go, second one I think, and they start talking about something called an FPS. And now they're drafting FPSs and now I'm supposed to submit these. And I'm wondering what this is. I made some friends and I asked someone, what is this? And he said, it's a foreign policy statement. I have no idea what that is, okay? So how MUN works is you're assigned a country and you're the delegate for that country for the conference. So basically, so there is an issue they're discussing. You have to draft a paper. This is a very simplified version of what an FPS is. You have to draft your country's position on that. And you have to reference your international relations with the other countries as well who are big players in the issue. I got so scared, I didn't go for the conference.
Oh, shit.
You have to pay like $15,000 or something also for this. And at the time, that was a lot. The parents gave me the money, but like, still, I felt really bad. And I got scared, I genuinely got scared. And I don't like quitting. I quit. And then I realized, okay, I quit the conference. Like later on, it didn't sit well with me. So I was like, okay, I quit the conference. I'm not going to quit MUN. So then that year, July, August, they do SLMUN. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go and do SLMUN has a bigger local school presence. So okay, I'll go and give this a shot. Then I learned, okay, you don't have to go as a delegate, you can go as an admin. I'll go as an admin and learn what happens here. So when you go as an admin, you can move in between halls and sessions, and it's a good way to learn. So managed to do that and pretty much figure out on the job what's happening. And by then, I had made enough friends at MUN who were very good at it, who I could ask questions from. So then I realized, okay, my job is not to go there and figure out what's going on. My job is to go there and figure out what questions I should ask. And then after that, I sat down with my friends and had chats with them. A couple of guys from Joe's, a few girls from Ladies, very helpful. And then I learned what's going on. Then next year, Komun, I went as a delegate. Did my FPS, did all of that. Okay. Obviously, at MUN also, you win prizes. I was never targeting prizes, but this was that initially what I quit, I just wanted to see it through. Saw it through, and by then, I think there were a few kids in school also. No, I had spoken to a few of my friends, Treshan, Sanjana, Tarusha. They were also interested in doing. And then your batch, there were a group of boys who were interested in doing. So I was like, okay, we'll all do it together. Spoke to Gihan sir, got him as a master in charge, and then started it in school because we had a big enough delegation to go as a school. Because when you go as a school, your school pays a block fee, and then your individual delegate fee is also reduced. And then we had a few sessions in school. It's easier when you do it as a group. And that's how we got that going. And so that actually came in place because there was a vacuum created by us not having debating.
That's crazy. One thing that I love you mentioned was that you don't like to quit. And I think there are multiple aspects that I have also personally seen in your life that you have taken on something and you have done it to the end. Talk a bit about the Interact Club. I mean, you made it to president. You, I think, made it into the district as well, right?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
Yeah, let's not.
But I know you made it to president,
yeah.
right? So talk a bit about that journey. I mean, you said initially you started off as an introvert, but then you changed to an extrovert. And Interact is a club where you do need a lot of interpersonal communication and networking to be able to build yourself up in that club. So talk a bit about how you started and how you progressed through the club.
Okay, so Interact, like I said, started because of Melia, her influence. I didn't have sports, there's nothing to do after school, mega kara. And another thing was, when I was small, like, you know my friends, like Pramukh and them, they know everyone from a very small age because of sports. I didn't know people like that, but as I did Interact, okay, I got to know the Ayas in school. Then, so our club works very closely with Joe's and Bridget's also, so I got to know the Joe's boys, Heshal and them, and the Bridget's girls, and then slowly expanded. And Interact genuinely from like grade 9 till like post O-level was really fun. And I learned so much without realizing that I was learning. Then from post O-level to A-level, it got really hectic. And I think that's how it should be. Well, that's how it was. I don't know how it is now. But I realized at the time also, it wasn't just me who was going through that. The executive board, there's a lot of, this is why I say it's very, you get a lot of skills that are transferable to the corporate world. The corporate world is very cutthroat, so is Interact. The moment there is something to be achieved, people get a little selfish. As a executive board, what you should do is you need to shield your junior members from that, so they have enough fun. By the time they get to the part that's not fun, it's still worth it. My seniors did that. And I want to do that for my juniors. That's the point where, you know, you feel like quitting. And there were plenty of times there were plenty of times I felt like quitting. Luckily, by the time I got there with my friends. Not just in my board, but like other school presidents also. Joe's president, Bridget's, bishops. To this day, we're still friends. And that's great. But navigating all of that also, definitely speaking English helped a lot. But I wouldn't say, and this is, you said there are two types of people listening to a podcast, people who are struggling to speak English and people who are struggling to do public speaking. I'd say the biggest thing there was, it wasn't that I spoke English, it was that I spoke confidently. Whatever I did or we did with confidence. And because there were people in the movement, English wasn't their first language. But they just exuded confidence and they did really well. So while maybe like my drama background taught me the language and confidence, Interact also did the same. And I think that's an important thing to take away from that.
As president of the club, I mean, you would have organized certain projects. There would have been inter-school projects that you would have handled. Talk a bit about how those organization skills also helped you as you moved into your adult life and your corporate
That's
life.
actually a very good point. Even now at work, so I told you though I am a practicing lawyer, I don't do litigation. We do corporate consultancy. And there is a project management component also there with some of the work we do. And that has been, it's challenging, but I've been able to hold myself there because of that background. Because those are things no one teaches me. Faculty didn't teach me, college didn't teach me, school didn't teach me, Interact taught me. From preparing a project proposal to pitching it, to delegating work, following up, tracking the work, tracking your deliverables. Basically, when you get into the corporate world, one of the first foreign terms you hear is KPIs. KPIs and SOPs. No idea what that is. Okay? But then once someone explains to you, you're like, we learned something like this in Interact, but we just didn't call it KPIs.
It's a fancy word.
So, yeah. I'd love if someone just like brings that into Interact now, and kids already know that when they come up. So the project management stuff won't help a general lawyer as much because their work is, litigators' work is different to what I do. Helps me a lot personally though, and I would, because it's something I know, when I have the pick of the litter of the work I do, I would pursue something that's related to this because I know it. Because Interact with projects, there are two components. There's the organization part and there's the finance part. I hated the finance part. I was very bad at going and looking for sponsors. So I chose to double down on the organization part. So when I was junior, when I'm put in committees, they saw value in me as an organizer and would put me to that side so I don't have to go and look for money. There's a thing that they generally put the rich kids in the finance committee because they know they won't find banners and ask their parents for money. So the key to Interact is never portray yourself as a rich kid. So now basically what I do is we don't have to worry about the money. Clients give the money. We just have to organize and track everything. Can do that thanks to Interact. And when I became president also, when I make committees, I think this will link back to sort of the essence of this conversation. When I have the luxury of a big enough pool of members to pick people also, this might not be right, but I would pick people who can speak English and pick people who can speak confidently. Because end of the day, they represent my club. And that's the impression I want to give of my club. In any discussion, like, can I name names? No.
You can, but not in a bad way.
No, not in a bad way, in a good way.
That's fine.
You know Shayan?
Yes.
Podi Shayan?
Yes.
I would love putting that kid in committees, no matter though he was really small, because he will speak very confidently wherever you go. So there are committees. Now, I am in grade 12. I think he's like 4 years younger than us. So he was like 8 or 9, grade 8 or 9. I am appointing committees where all the other people are grade 11 or 12. I am putting this guy because I know this guy will go and he will represent Peters for what Peters should be. Now, there were a lot of small guys like that. Even now, I'm very proud to I see the progress. I get invited for installations and all of that stuff. The presidents we have produced have all represented college very well. So after me, it was Krimesh, Adil, Rahul. Rahul was DIR also. All of them, they had that confidence that you need to have. And I was lucky as a president to have access to this pool of juniors. So it wasn't age or seniority that I looked at when I sent people for projects. It was how well you speak and how confident you speak.
Talk a bit about prefectship. You were a prefect at St. Peter's College, and That was an interesting experience, to say the least. What was that? What was that time like for you?
I think there are also one of the highlights that I remember is we organized this. I organized this Marian devotion exhibition.
I remember this.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that because that was one of the first times I was able to transfer those interact skills out, those project organizing skills out. That's when I realized how important that was, and I realized how to export that. I'm just going to say that and leave that there because that connects to the previous conversation. That's done. Prefectship in general, of course, challenging at Peters because there's a sort of prejudice that teachers also have towards prefects, which shouldn't be the case. We're doing a service to school. At times, it makes life harder being a prefect. Definitely, when you're involved in a lot of different things, other than sport, being a prefect is a complication. And with studies also, it's a complication. Like Tarusha was great as my head prefect because he gave me the liberty to focus on my studies in my senior year, and I think that's why I was able to get the results I got also. You know how when you become senior prefect, you don't come to school.
That's true.
It's not how it's supposed to be, but I genuinely didn't have a reason to come to school because I did arts. We don't have teachers. We had one sir who taught everything. Okay? And Manuel teacher taught English. And she was also my interact teacher. So Manuel teacher knew that I know English. And Bernard sir knew that I know media. So I did English Lit and Logic, the other two subjects. We didn't have English Lit in school. I had to do it privately. Bernard's, because I wasn't allowed to do two subjects privately, Bernard's said, okay, I will on paper be the logic teacher for Peters. And to this day, I'm very grateful. I attribute a lot of what I have achieved to, I'd say, 4 teachers. Imogen teacher, Bernard sir. I have a lot of respect for Manuel teacher and Gyan sir. Honorable mentions. So I'll dedicate one spot to both of them. And I had a history tuition sir called Sudham sir. Sudham sir doesn't speak a word of English, but he was that ideal teacher figure. I want to talk about Bernard sir a little. I know it's not directly answering your question, but I think up until that point, no one in the recent history had gotten A's for anything in arts.
Really?
Yeah. No one for anything. So Bernard sir, and like Bernard sir didn't know me at all. First few months, like he realized, okay, I'm listening to what he's saying. And then he, knowing nothing, agreed to sign on as a logic teacher in Peters just so I can do those 3 subjects. He took a bet on me because in case I did terribly, it looks bad on him also because he had no reassurance that I will do logic well on my own. He also didn't know logic like that to teach. I remember in class when he's doing something on the board, there's a mathematical part of logic. He'll do it on the board, he'll turn to me and say, Devinda, is this correct? The humility as a teacher who's been in school for like 25, 30 years, to ask a student that, a lot of people will interpret it the wrong way saying he's taking it too easy, he's too laid back. No, that was not it at all. He was humble enough to know where he needed help, but also gracious enough to help someone he owes absolutely nothing to. And like you said, I was involved in a lot of things. I was never in class. He never had an issue with that. But the flip side of that is I did my work. I got him the results that he can show someone. I remember once I was, you know how our class is and the walls are like this, and I was outside and I had football practice and duty and something. I was tired. I was sleeping. Like he knows I will come to class and sleep. It's okay. I was sleeping. Suddenly someone hammered me on the head. I got mad and I woke up. Rector on this side of the wall hit me on the head because I was sleeping, and he went. Bernard sir looked at me and apologized.
No way.
Really nice guy. So he would, even my lit paper was sent by this teacher at Ladies College to Peter's, and from the office, he'll come and open it and give it to me to do. He'll then seal it, send it to her, logic paper also. He spoke to the tuition teacher I was going to teach at Bishop's, and she would send the Bishop's paper to him or something like that. Logic, by then, there was a small group of people who were doing. I wasn't the only one. That's why he was teaching it actually in class. He went out of his way. Him and even Father Anton was very helpful. Went out of their way to give me that access. So because of teachers like that, I was able to balance like prefectship and studies and get the results I got and get to where I am today. And even with prefectship, he helped a lot. But I know I've completely drifted away from the question you asked. But and also, like, I must say, this was something you mentioned before, like to mention the people I look up to. I've never really looked up to people like that, but he is someone, there are qualities of him that I want to emanate in things I do. There are qualities in other people also that I want to emanate. This is definitely one person. Very, very, I got very upset when I heard he passed away. But even with drama, he was very involved. He's a nice guy. Yeah, prefectship was challenging. I think a lot of people who focused a lot on prefectship found it difficult to excel academically. Just like Bernard's, Tarush also gave me that space to do that, but Tarush also, I think, knew when he needed, I will be there. I remember a couple of times, there were a couple of issues, he called me, and a couple, Vinul Jaya, he called us, he said, come to school, there's something to do. So we go, this is why we got here. Because I didn't have any like teachers in school, I didn't go to school, like A-level time, I didn't go to school at all. That's when I started going to the gym. Because in the mornings, gym is not crowded, no? So I will wake up at about 8 o'clock, I go to the gym by like 10:30, work out till about 12, and then tuition. Yeah. And then I go to school for exams. So they don't check attendance also. And then I think anyway, like we get like study leave in like May or something. But Bernard's really looked out for me.
All right, everyone, just a quick reminder here that if you are someone that is struggling to speak in front of an audience, if you are someone that gets nervous when you see a large group of people, if you don't have the right vocabulary when you have to speak in English, and if you go every time you see a crowd, make sure to sign up to our public speaking classes. We have both online and physical classes. You can choose which one you want to join. But one thing I can guarantee is that if you sign up to our classes, you will be the most confident speaker that you have ever been. You will never say again. You'll speak as confidently as you possibly can, and you will be the best public speaker that you have the potential in yourself to be. So give me a call on the number below, and I will help you become a great public speaker. Do you think that now there's a lot of students that don't end up being prefects? They don't even apply for prefectship. Do you think prefectship is something that students should aspire to get into because of the qualities it helps you build or skills it helps you build?
I think there's a bit of a complicated answer to this. And I'm going to draw a little from my experience in uni as well. Every prefect batch is different. Okay, our school also, my batch was different, your batch was different, the batch above us was different, and the bond between the batches also different. I know your batch is very close, my batch not so much, and then again I know the batch above us was very close, and I know in other schools also, like we have Joe Pete Prefects days together. I know the culture within us and the culture within them is very different. Anand and Alan, the cultures are different. It's very hard for me to give a blanket answer and say, yes, join Prefectship, it's good. One thing I can say is, based on my experience, if I didn't do Prefectship, with the extensive theatre and interact work I did, I'd still be okay. But one thing I am grateful for from Prefectship, and this is why it's connected to uni. So I went to Colombo State University. first thing that comes to most people's minds when you say state university is ragging. I wasn't ragged. I don't think anyone in, so I went to law faculty. I don't think anyone in my batch of faculty can say they were ragged in faculty. Hostels, different story. Ragging also works in a very batch by batch, faculty by faculty basis, and more often than not, it's determined by who the union president is. And in that year, same thing with prefectship, depends on who the head prefect is, no? Okay, we had a very good union president when I was in my first year. Generally, you get ragged a lot in your first year. Very good union president. But like, the reason I say we weren't ragged is not that they completely left us alone. They bothered us. But it was, I think, in prefectship, I can't think of an English word for this, so I'm going to say, api kattak kæva. Okay? That you need. As a, I don't mean to be very patriarchal when I say this, but as a boy, poddak kattak kanna one. Okay? I was like pampered when I was small. Only child also, no? Prefect, and in interact and drama, I wasn't pushed that much. Prefectship pushed me.
There's a bit of politics involved.
There was politics in interact also. That's a different kind of push. But to be fair, correct. Both of those things happened simultaneous to me. That same time period only, prefectship and interact both got hectic. And it was tough. It pushed me beyond limits it pushed me to places I thought I couldn't go. But I think that comes down to an individual's resilience, and I don't attribute it to myself. I attribute it to my parents and my family who was around me at that time. Gave me mad support, and I got through it. And getting through it made me, I think, a better person, but also a worse person. But you sort of realize that's that point. Everyone has a point in life where they realize not everything is black and white. Yeah. Prefectship showed me the gray. That's a politically correct, nice way of saying it. And I think you need this. The younger you learn that things are gray, the easier life is going to be for you. And that's something that I think is there across all schools. Prefectship will show you the gray.
Now, I was a junior prefect under you, and you were one of the people in your specific batch that I really liked working with. I think you had a clique of people that I genuinely enjoyed working with because of the management style you had, right? Because even in my...
It didn't sit well with everyone though.
It didn't sit well with everyone. It actually got us into a bad situation also because we were really good with you guys. So the thing is, what I really liked though, was that you all were very hands-off when it came to management. In terms of, you let us do our thing, you trusted us with whatever responsibility you gave us, and you expected us to do our job well, right? As opposed to certain types of, as opposed to certain types of leaders that get very hands-on with everything, and they scold you and they shout at you. And one of the things that I really admired, and I think I've admired in other bosses I've had as well as I moved on, was how they tackle a problem. Especially if someone junior to them has made a mistake, how they approach that situation. Was this management style something you built up through interact before you came to prefectship, or is this something you navigated, or is this just how your personality is?
This is, I think, so like I said, Bernard sir was a little like that. He didn't micromanage. He trusted that if I did my part, he will give me my liberties. And I know that's a system that works well for me. So I would rather do like Jesus said. Do unto others as you would have done unto you, or something on those lines. I am actually a little religious. So I generally like
quote from the Bible.
No, I don't quote from the Bible. But when I don't know what to do, I will like, I know people say it as a joke, like what would Jesus do? But like I would think that a bit. I think that was something that was there from a young age. Amma put that in me. No, but I actually wanted, because I also have this thing where it's nice to be liked. And you're taught from a very young age as a prefect, you're not here to make friends, you're here to get a job done. And I think as long as I get my job done, there's nothing wrong with being liked also. Um, and I know y'all from Interact and Drama, I know y'all. I know Vada Puluwan kiyala. So I genuinely, this is how I wanted my seniors to treat me. Some did. So I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do to my juniors. And fortunately enough, where I'm working now also, I've ended up with bosses who treat us like that. But it's tough now. We're looking to have a couple of new hires, but my best friend from faculty and I both work at the same place. Both of us know you can't just recommend anyone because you need to be at a certain caliber to work here because of the level of freedom you're given. They're not going to come behind you and double check and triple check and do all of that, but you need to deliver quality work. As long as, so I had the luxury of doing that with y'all because I knew the work will be of a good quality. There were people who didn't do well, and my approach didn't work out there. I got in trouble, they got in trouble, the project got in trouble. But I think the important thing there is as a leader, if you're going to give people freedom and you're not going to micromanage, you also have to take the responsibility when things go wrong. And that's something I see with my seniors. Whenever something goes wrong, they don't tell the client, he did it. We are sorry, we will fix this. That's the response. And that's what, so I didn't learn that when I was in school, I learned that now. I have been guilty of passing the blame on. But now I know this is how it should be. So I think if you're going to not micromanage and give that the sort of leadership that you said I gave you all, this side also needs to be there.
Let's talk a bit about how you transitioned into law, right? You did arts for A-levels. Actually, one thing I wanted to mention before we move out of school is you were always known for being a good speaker, right, in school. And actually now I was in school from grade 1 onwards, right? And I have been to many assemblies, I have heard a lot of people speak. But the speech you gave on the day you were leaving is still something I remember. I'm not even joking. Because I quote it in some of my classes. Because I say, when you gave that speech, you did all the fundamentals correct. You told us nice stories, you made it nostalgic. And I specifically remember you saying, it's not the journey that, it's not the end that matters, but it's the journey of getting there. That was very nice, and it's actually one of the oldest speeches I remember from school.
I'm sure Rector also remembers that speech because some of the things he's right here, he's looking at me, he's looking to see who let me talk. Everyone's coming and quote. This was one place I should have quoted the Bible. I didn't.
That was a solid speech.
No, at that point, I told you, prefectship brought out the best and worst in me. Those last years, not prefectship. I was a little spiteful also.
Yes, we all felt it. But my point was going to be, how did you build up this ability to speak in public so well? Even from the time you were in Interact or Drama, you always were very good at motivating a team. You were always very good at speaking to a crowd. How did you build up this skill?
I actually can't give you an answer to that. I'm also not entirely, I can't pinpoint and say this is what happened, this is how it went. I think one important thing is, I don't read off a paper, ever. That also has sometimes not worked out well for me. But because I don't read off of a paper, everything I say, one thing is, you connect more with an audience when you don't read off a paper. Eye contact matters a lot. Also, it's very important that I genuinely believe everything I say. There's conviction behind what I say, and that's why it doesn't always sit well with everyone. Because when you read off a paper or you say what you're supposed to say, you can please a larger audience. when you are true to yourself, there's a lot more individuality that comes out in your speech, and individuality nowadays in society is not as accepted as much as society wants to think that now we accept it more than ever. I think my last speech was one of those instances where there was a lot of me in that speech. There is a template of what someone who got 3 A's should say.
Yeah.
This was not that. I tell my friends that like, the essence of my speech was everyone quoted the Bible. I quoted, if I'm not mistaken, Biggie. He says, I am here for a good time, not a long time.
Yes, that rings a bell, yes.
Yes, that was the essence of what I said.
Yeah,
And no, I really like giving a message. Okay, actually no, I think I did elocution when I was small, like very small. And elocution transitioned into theatre. I think from there, public speaking became easy. But also, I'm not someone who is generally embarrassed. I'm not shy.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I have no shame because I have a bit of shame. But I don't mind speaking my mind regardless of how it's going to land. And I know that that is a bit weird. The default setting is to have a bit of shame, embarrassment, like, you know, you need to conform to society. For some, I'd like to think stroke of luck, I didn't get that.
Why do you, okay, I know you said that maybe it's a stroke of luck, but is there something you can pinpoint and say, hey, this is why I don't feel embarrassed? Because it's a default feeling. Because a lot of the people that are watching this video, that's the biggest thing they're struggling with. Every time someone comes to my class, that's what they say. I'm nervous, I'm shy, I feel scared to share my thoughts. How do you get rid of this?
Okay, I think the mentality there should be, like I said, if you are presenting yourself on stage and you get shy or embarrassed, you are shy or embarrassed of something that is you. I think step one is to be completely comfortable with who you are. And that doesn't mean, okay, I was born like this, now I have to be 100% okay with this. If there are things about you you don't like, fix it. Okay, like you said, I was chubby. I didn't like that. I was very insecure about that. So I worked out and got in shape. Okay, simple thing.
Yeah.
That's a very good example. I went through a long period where I was very, I didn't have confidence. Okay, with the way I looked. And this was reinforced, like my best friends bullied me. Now I thank them, like Ado, Hondai ubo hiyabu eka ekai man දැන් මෙහෙම ඉන්නේ.
It's a Peter Wright mentality.
Yeah. And so now I make fun of other people. I think this is good for you. Even my parents, like they would also like say like, I'm not going to repeat what they said. Then say things.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, so I fixed it. And so if you're not okay with things about yourself, fix those things. Get to a place where you are okay with yourself. I think the world would be a better place if everyone was a lot more okay with who they are as a person. The moment I was okay with myself as a person, the good and the bad, you being okay with yourself doesn't mean you think everything you do is right. But you are okay with what you do. I know I used to sometimes, like there are, like you told me you don't like to wake up early morning. You're okay with that now? Yeah, it's okay. You're not perfect. There are shortcomings. You accept the shortcomings also. And when you are fully okay with who you are as a person, there's no reason to be embarrassed or shy when you get up there and present yourself. That's a simple bit of it.
Alright guys, so that's a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like our page, share this video with a friend, and let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And most importantly, till our next video, keep practicing.